He sloshed back to the workroom to work on his task list on the computer, knowing that he'd be more likely to be changed promptly if there was not a backlog of work. He whittled it down nicely over the next 15 minutes, so that when Julie walked through the door, he only had a call to return to someone who wasn't home. She walked up behind him and patted him on the shoulder. "Look who's been busy," she said, impressed. "Amazing what you can do when you put your mind to it." He turned his head to meet her gaze. She winked knowingly. "Looks like you have a minute to get more comfortable. Interested?" He nodded. "Yes, please. He stopped self-consciously. "Damp? Uncomfortable? Soaked?" She prodded, nodding. "Why don't we take care of that?" She went to lock the door. He stood up and undid his belt. She smiled at how far he'd come. Had it really only been yesterday that she had had to threaten him to pull his pants down? She retrieved a dry diaper. She'd left a blue pad, the wipes, and the baby powder at what had become their changing table. It wasn't that she wanted others to know about the situation, but she also wasn't opposed to the idea. Sooner or later, the staff would figure out that he was wearing diapers. She hadn't yet figured out how they would explain that, but assumed it would be a urological explanation, like maybe he had bladder or prostate issues. Eventually, having him outed would make things easier. But he wasn't sure his ego could take it yet. Slow and steady wins the race. This race was definitely on, and it looked like she was winning. He had his pants down and was up on the table, lying back, legs stretched widely apart. She untaped his diaper and pulled it down, breathing in the familiar mix of urine and powder that she liked so much. The diaper was indeed soaked, and this also made her happy. He had settled in nicely to following her rules, which certainly boded well for the future. It had been nothing more than pure luck, really, that they had been paired upon her hiring, but there was nothing coincidental about where they were today. She had immediately recognized his submissive nature in the way he dropped his eyes when they talked. He was socially a little shy in an appealing way. She had gently extended some work-appropriate flirtation, and his reaction to these very bland comments had confirmed both his social inexperience and receptiveness to her leadership. He might be smart and educated, but that didn't mean he knew his way around dating or sex. It hadn't taken long for her to start daydreaming about him. Julie was in her late 20s, old enough to have a failed marriage but young enough to retain a healthy interest in having another. Her 2 young children took a lot of energy, and she could see the advantage of having a man in her life. But this time, it would have to be on her terms. And she had decided firmly on her terms at about the same time she had kicked her ex-husband out of her house and life.